Kaieteur Radio, keeping you informed.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Berbice 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
Good day, welcome to your main newscast right here on Kaieteur Radio. I'm Kevin Smith.
And I'm Amrita Koshal.
And in your headlines today, civil society pools funds to fight tax giveaway case as Guyanese pay for ExxonMobil's legal fees. EPA doing guesswork. Environmentalist says agency lacks data to conclude 12 well drilling campaigns will not harm environment. And political parties failed to submit 2020 elections expense reports. Article 13 presses GCOM to ensure compliance with regulations. EPA greenlights $35 million wind project at Hope Beach. Developers aiming for over 50% local ownership. And East Kanji man chopped to death. Meanwhile, according to the Kidney Foundation Guyana, Guyanese remain in the dark about dangers of kidney diseases. Stay tuned to stay informed.
Nothing in life is free, but the MyDigiCell app is. You don't need to be on a data plan to use the app. You can conveniently chat with Ruby or an agent for help. Check your account balance, activate a Prime bundle, or gift it to a friend. Send credit. Check the Georgetown and Berbice bridge schedules. Activate a roaming plan. Play Shake to Win for cool prizes. So don't worry about a data plan, buddy. Download the MyDigiCell app from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store today. Digicel, better together.
And now for the news in detail. Based on the arrangements in the 2016 production sharing agreement between ExxonMobil and the government of Guyana, the country will pay all legal fees incurred by the oil company regarding challenges directly related to their operations. This, of course, would include the court matter brought against the state by Kaieteur News publisher Glenn Lal, where ESSO has decided to become part of the matter given its particular interests. But even as Guyana is contractually obligated to pay the legal costs for the oil major, civil society persons have been pooling their resources to help Lal mount the court challenge. This is according to Lal, who added that it was the coming together of three persons that saw the legal challenge moving forward. Lal is of the firm view that under the country's petroleum law, exemptions of value-added duty and excise tax, among others, to operators other than the licensee are against existing legislation. The businessman filed the High Court case back in January, challenging what he describes as some of the most repressive tax provisions of the Stabroek Block PSA, with ExxonMobil and his partners, Hess Corporation and Sinnock Petroleum Guyana Limited.
And we now tell you that the Environmental Protection Agency has waived the requirement for an environmental impact assessment to be done by ExxonMobil that is gearing to start two 12-well drilling campaigns in the Kaieteur and Kanji blocks. However, the agency did not provide the data it used to reach this conclusion. Instead, the EPA informed that its screening of the application for the various projects has found that they will not significantly affect the environment or human health. But in the absence of baseline information on fish and mammal life cycle and migratory patterns, among others, where the activities are scheduled to take place, environmentalist Simone Mangle-Joly has questioned the reasoning behind the EPA's decision to waive the impact assessment requirement. In a letter to the Environmental Assessment Board, Mangle-Joly said the agency lacks the relevant empirical data required to conclude that the proposed drilling activities are not likely to significantly impact the natural environment or Guyana's offshore fish populations and fisheries sector.
And moving on. New GCOM CEO Vishnu Prasad has said that he has not located any expense report from political parties that contested the 2020 general and regional elections. Article 13 expressed its disappointment since it said that the chairman of at least one political group, ANUG, which contested the 2020 elections, is on public record, stating that the party did submit an election expense report. As such, Article 13 opined that this occurrence should not be taken lightly by the CEO. According to Article 13, as the nation engages in a debate on electoral reform, it is important that the Chief Election Officer play his part in ensuring that the law is observed and violators are sanctioned. To this end, the civil society body, comprising members such as Chartered Accountant and Attorney-at-Law Christopher Ram, said it would be disappointed if the Chief Election Officer joined in undermining the Elections Act.
And we now tell you that the EPA has given the green light for the Hope Wind Farm project, which is estimated to cost approximately $35 million. According to documents seen, the planned wind farm represents the first substantial utility-scale renewable energy project to be implemented in Guyana. The base case scenario calls for 6 wind turbines forming a 25.2 megawatt wind farm that will generate over 80 gigawatts hour per year. The project is expected to result in a 10% reduction in GPL's fuel oil generation requirement and 10% reduction in GHG emitted, which is a significant step towards Guyana's Paris Agreement commitments. Once the project is ready to start construction and all financing is in place, it is understood that additional Guyanese investors will be invited to participate with the aim of achieving more than 50% Guyanese ownership of Hope Wind Energy and the project.
And moving on. According to global calculations, approximately 112,000 Guyanese have been affected by some form of kidney disease. Yet, not many citizens are aware of the dangers and risks associated with this form of sickness. As such, Kidney Foundation Guyana, or KFG, a local non-profit organization, has undertaken to improve health literacy on the matter. The ultimate goal of the organization is to get more citizens to understand the impact of kidney disease, an ailment that can affect people's ability to work and lead productive lives, or even lead to death. In a release to mark World Kidney Day held on Thursday last, the KFG, which is chaired by Guyanese nephrologist Dr. Arifa Aladdin, outlined some of its efforts to sensitize the public on the issue. The KFG noted, for kidney care to improve, there must be an improvement in the education of the population. The time has now moved on to 12 hours 12 in Guyana. We will return with more news after the break.
Unlock free premium channels on PlayGo from March 14 to 20. Plus 2 gigabytes PlayGo data every day. Free! 16 premium channels. Stay entertained with OWN, T-Nick, MTV, and BET. From international news to home improvement skills. Endless laughter plus new recipes. Watch BBC, Comedy Central, HGTV, Discovery, Food Network, and so much more. All you need on TV right in the palm of your hand. PlayGo. Simply more entertainment.
And we now return with more news in detail. A 24-year-old man, Alex Williams, was chopped to death sometime after midnight on Saturday following a confrontation with 2 men in front of a bar on the number 2 East Kanji Public Road, Berbice. The young man's father, 42-year-old Mohammed Ishmael, disclosed that he was present throughout the entire incident but was helpless since the attacker was armed with a cutlass. He said that he had accompanied his son after being told by him that he was violated on the road. The father disclosed that when he arrived, there was a hostile verbal encounter with a person named Gully. At that point, a friend of the now deceased was trying to talk him into leaving the situation and head home, but then a man ran out with Guinness bottles and hurled one at Williams, hitting him in the face. Then another ran out with a cutlass and dealt Williams a chop to his neck and other parts of his body. The father reported that Williams died in a car on the way to the New Amsterdam Hospital, located just a few minutes away. Commander Budnarain Prasad noted that no one has since been arrested.
In other news, Vice President Bharat Jagdeo has assured Guyanese that their electricity bills will not climb as a result of the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine, which has significantly impacted the cost of fuel. As seen in gas stations across the country, the price for fuel has spiked over the past weeks due to sanctions being imposed on Russia as a result of the fallout between the European countries. To this end, GPL only a few days ago said it may have to increase the tariffs if the energy consumption is not reduced by customers, as the spike in global fuel costs has also driven up the company's operating expenses. Jagdeo assured that the charges would not go up due to the growing cost of fuel.
And moving on, GCOM said that prior to the commencement of the continuous registration exercise, internal COVID-19 guidelines aimed at protecting the GCOM registration personnel were prepared and circulated to all its registration offices for compliance. In recognition of the fact that many persons in the 14 to 17 years old age range might not have been able to be vaccinated for want of being in possession of national identification cards because they were never registered, a decision was taken to waive the vaccination requirement for this age group.
In other news, during the opening of tenders on Wednesday at the office of NBTAB, a total of $2.9 billion worth of projects was opened for the continued rehabilitation and construction of a number of roads in the country. The procuring entity for these projects is the Ministry of Public Works. Having been allotted the largest share of budget 2022, the ministry is preparing to spend its $76.7 billion budgetary allocation on these projects. The ministry's budget would see the spending of $3.4 billion for hinterland roads and another $15.2 billion for the construction and rehabilitation of urban and community roads across the country.
And moving on, Minister of Housing and Water, Colin Crowe, is once again urging Guyanese not to fall prey to fraudsters who promise to get them house lots. Crowe emphasized to citizens the importance of waiting for the CHNPA, the only authorized agency under the Ministry of Housing, to issue them house lots. Minister Crowe noted that the CHNPA has introduced e-applications and submissions for land allocation and both residential and commercial uses. And we now move on to your COVID-19 update. The Ministry of Health has recorded 10 new cases, bringing the total number of cases in Guyana to 63,144. 7 patients are admitted into the ICU, 12 persons in institutional isolation, 202 in home isolation, and the number of deaths remain at 1,224.
And now we move on to the page 7 of the Kaieteur News. The only thing low is workers' salary. We have witnessed the dramatic rise in food prices and other items here as the Russia-Ukraine war intensifies. We have seen steep increases in a range of items prior to this conflict due to COVID-19, floods, and even the supply chain crisis that hit the global market last year. Unfortunately, while all of these things are happening, our government remains stuck, only promising to cushion the effects, but actually doing nothing to alleviate the suffering of ordinary Guyanese. Our leaders continue to give away much-needed revenues through tax exemptions to ExxonMobil and other foreign companies. They continue to waste billions more on corrupt, failed projects, but crying out that they don't have money to increase salary and give incentives to citizens. So here we are, with everything rising, but the one thing that remains low is the salary of workers. Guyanese, it is time we fire these leaders. And with that, we've come to the end of today's News at Noon. I'm Kevin Smith.
And I'm Amrita Koshal.
Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 today.
Fellow Guyanese, we have to ensure that the country does not get the wrong end of the stick. Those are the words from our president when he was in opposition. He also promised Guyana to manage the oil sector in which all of us can benefit. He said the oil contract will be reviewed and renegotiated. Hear him in his own words.
The oil contract. Do you agree with the 55 billion signed away Global Witness Report. And will you revisit the other contract?
We have made it very clear, but we can never agree. How can, I don't think any Guyanese agree with this. No Guyanese, except the government that is defending it. We have made it very clear that we have to go towards relooking at these contracts, renegotiating these contracts, looking at contract management, and all of these things. Everything we have to relook at, because we have to ensure that our country does not get the wrong end of the stick.
So everything is on the table for review as it relates to oil contracts.
Yes, review and renegotiate.
What happened today, my fellow brothers and sisters?
Kaieteur Radio.
Covering Guyana from coast to coast.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Berbice 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
Fellow Guyanese, after the newscast at 12 noon every day, I am dedicating some clips with extremely important information pertaining to Guyana's future. Please, I beg you, take some time and listen to them. It is for your interest and future generations. This is a message from Glenn Lal saying thanks for listening to the Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. 4 of today's newspaper in my hand. I just want to touch on the lead story in all 4 of them. I'll begin with the Stabroek